out there? Welcome to a Word Hole Media presentation of Major League A-Holes. I'm Pete.
I'm Ryan. You are in the hole with Major League A-Holes, episode 158. We've got a quick show probably today, but I think we've got a good one. We're going to talk about all of the Alex Bregman fallout, as he did not go to my Detroit Tigers or my Chicago Cubs. I think that happened about 24 hours after we recorded episode 157, trying to speculate where he may or may not go. And I don't think we talked about the Red Sox.
We did. We talked about 3 teams, and he went to one of them.
Yep.
Well, we talked about 4 teams. I said the joke is going to be the Sox sign them because they have all the money.
That's when we were going to do an emergency episode in the middle of the night if that happened, but that would have been fantastic content. But alas, he went to the Red Sox. We'll break all that down and everything that's happened since. We've got a game show when we get to your White Sox that we just made up about 10 minutes ago. So we'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to that. You've got a little bit of White Sox news we could talk about as well. And then finally, we're going to wrap up the show with an aesthetics segment that you suggested.
Yeah, I know.
Unprecedented.
Every now and then.
You act like you hate that segment every week, but you love it. You're coming up with your own ideas now. So this happened before, I feel.
Yeah, I only like my ideas.
Okay. that explains it.
Let's be clear.
Well, I think with that, we might as well go ahead and jump into the news. Alex Bregman signs a $120 million 3-year deal with the Boston Red Sox, an offer he clearly could not refuse.
I wouldn't.
$40 million a year makes him one of the top 3 highest paid players of 2025. He is not a top 3 player in baseball. He's an all-star. He's a far above average third baseman. He is not worth $40 million. So congratulations to him, his agent, Scott Boras. I guess congratulations to the Red Sox. They're pretty fired up about it, although that's causing some issues that I don't think they anticipated that we'll get into in a bit. But so last week I was speculating and had an opinion about of the 2 teams that I'm obsessed with, my Detroit Tigers and Chicago Cubs, which would I rather have him go to? And I landed on the Cubs. I thought it would be a disaster for the Tigers because they're going to have to commit to him long-term, to a guy on the other side of 30. He's going to be 31 before the season starts now. Committing to him for multiple years, 6, 7, 8 years, they might get 1 or 2 good years out of him, and they'd be fucked like they've been fucked by Javi Baez and everybody else. So I was leaning towards the Cubs because I thought that they could do a short-term deal and, absorb, even if it's 2 years of 2 or 3 years of, low production, they could absorb that and figure it out because they have the monies, which we'll get to as well. But the way things played out, I think it couldn't have played out any better for the Tigers. They offered the most money of all 4 contenders, guaranteed money, $171 million over 6 years. And he didn't want to take that. And that just tells me he's just not that into the Tigers. The Detroit fans kind of accept that. We've seen it before. Detroit versus everybody is the famous slogan. The Tigers did everything they could. Scott Harris gets a bad rap. Chris Ilitch gets the cheap label placed on him unfairly in this case. That you can't say with this deal. They offered more money than anybody else. So you can't say it was the Tigers' fault. I also think it's great because they didn't get him. I think it would have been a disaster if they signed him for 6 years and $171 million. Those last 4 years, potentially.
Yeah.
Could have been a mess.
Agreed.
So, especially with a looming labor crisis and probable work stoppage starting in 2027. So that's something that we're going to be talking more and more about is unfortunately as the year goes on. I'm seeing a lot more talk about that in the media right now. So I feel like, I think right after the news came out, I'm like, Tigers dodged a bullet right there. I'm really happy the news leaked that all the offers got out there so we can compare all 4. I think this paints it's like I said, it's a perfect scenario that Tigers, disgruntled Tigers fans have nothing to complain about. The Ilitches, they push the boat out, as they say, and went for it and offered more than anybody else. So nobody can complain about that. Nobody can say that Scott Harris botched this. And they're not saddled with another albatross of a contract. On the other hand, for my Chicago Cubs, it is an absolute disaster. They could, and he certainly would have helped the Tigers for 1 or 2 years. Cubs could use his help as well, probably more so, as they're looking to start a rookie third baseman right now in Matt Shaw, who had an oblique issue.
Oblique.
I think that news came out like a day after Bregman actually signed. So it's like, couldn't be more terrible timing. I have seen he is back working out in spring training. I think he's taking it easy with that oblique. He said he's like playing at 70% effort as to not aggravate it, but he's back there. So I think that obliques are fucking scary. I hate seeing that. I think you sent me the news.
I did.
Gleefully. That's oblique.
Cheer you up.
Yeah, thanks. I think he's going to be okay. But that, relying on a rookie is ridiculous for a team that should be going for it and has traded for Kyle Tucker in the offseason. So the other disaster part of this for the Cubs is they come out looking just as cheap as everyone, and including myself, maybe leading the charge, just as cheap as Ricketts has ever looked. They offered the least amount of money of the 4 teams.
Fucking a travesty.
They offered 4 years, $115 million. That is just slightly above the average annual value of what the Tigers offered, but is far below the total guaranteed money. It's an extra year past what the Red Sox offered, but it's less money. Nowhere close to the $40 million per year that he eventually accepted from the Red Sox. So it's embarrassing. And Jed actually came out to the media after everything was announced, and he had to thank the Ricketts family for extending themselves that far. He basically is saying he had to beg the Ricketts to even go agree to $115 million. And it's just pathetic. It's such a bad look. It also really puts into question the depth of this roster going forward. You've got, like I said, the rookie third baseman. We'll get to Justin Turner here that they've just signed for 1 year, $6 million, 40-year-old Justin Turner. But you have no depth at third base. I don't even know if Turner played third base last year.
12 games.
Yeah, he's a first baseman / DH.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, Jed has signed a player from Japan who was supposed to be the right fielder and has turned into the full-time DH, Seiya Suzuki, because he can't play right field. So you've already got the DH slot taken care of. So you bought yourself with Justin Turner a bit of a stopgap backup DH. He can play first, spell Michael Busch. Turner has put up decent numbers even in his old age. You wonder how long that's going to last. I would think this would be the last contract he'll sign. He did say he turned down more money elsewhere, but he wanted to be with the Cubs, so that's a good sign. The depth issue is really coming into focus with the Cubs after not getting Bregman. Got a deficiency at third base, question marks at first base, and you have one center fielder essentially, Pete Crow Armstrong. And it just drives me nuts when you think about how that problem could have been solved if they had only held on to Cody Bellinger. And I know you are not the biggest fan of Cody Bellinger, but how much different does this roster look if he's on it today?
I didn't understand addition. They say addition by subtraction, right? They go ahead and get Tucker and then trade away Bellinger for nothing. But by doing that, they weaken their roster offensively and insisted they were reinvesting the money. That deal that they offered Bregman proves they are not going to reinvest that money. It is, if I'm a Cubs fan right now, I'm just beside myself. I'm patting myself on the back because I've got some preseason predictions that say I'm going to win fucking 90 games. I got to tell you, I don't see it.
Yeah, we'll Yeah,
We got a show coming up on that in a few weeks or whatever. But like, I look at this roster and I just sit in disappointment. I don't know why, but the minute they signed Tucker, I'm like, oh, you got Bellinger, you got Tucker now. Then if you don't get Bregman, but you do sign uh Justin Turner as like an add-on to what's already there, I don't mind that. I don't mind the $6 million on Justin Turner as this like role player off the bench, back up to spell some guys or whatever sort of role. But right now, is he a starter? He has to be, I guess. They need that bat in the lineup. But like you said, he can't DH every day because then you lose Suzuki, who can't play right field very well. It's, to me, offensively, the roster is a mess right now.
It is very conflicted, confusing roster building. And we've seen the confluence of events, but that was all set into motion by trading Cody Bellinger. What this essentially means at this point means the Cubs traded Cody Bellinger for Justin Turner. And don't forget Cody Poteet.
Yeah. Poteet.
So would you make that trade today? No. Would. So that is what Jed Hoyer has managed to, the corner he's put himself into. And there's exacerbating circumstances. I think they were somehow counting on getting Alex Bregman. And with an offer like that, I don't know how they miscalculated the market that badly. Granted, the Red Sox,
overpaid.
Definitely an overpay. They blew the market out of the water. But to have the Tigers outbid the Cubs is what's ridiculous and hilarious. So there's mitigating circumstances where, like I said, it sounded like Jed had to beg to get that amount, to get the Ricketts to agree to like take that much of a risk, and it wasn't close. So you can't put it all on Jed. He's got his hands tied. But so then it goes to Ricketts, and I've been railing on him for 5 years now. First with the biblical losses, and then last month with the break even mantra, which is
you're definitely horrific, playing that card right now.
I keep asking the question, why does he keep talking to the media? Why, especially at events, especially about money, at events like CubsCon, it's a fool's errand. And I'm reading more into it. I've read a couple more articles and something I missed completely happened back in December. Jesse Rogers wrote an article from ESPN 1000, explaining how the Ricketts family sold a piece of the team to an investment group called Arcto Sports Partners, I believe is the name of it. One of some generic capital or venture capitalist investment groups. They happen to own, there's no word on what percentage they own of the Cubs, but they own pieces of sports franchises around the world. They also own pieces of other Major League Baseball teams, which I find very interesting.
Yeah, that seems not like
it's like a conflict of interest to own parts of multiple teams.
Yeah.
This is a new phenomenon. This was approved by Major League Baseball only 5 years ago, that venture capitalists could invest in teams and that they can invest in multiple teams. This is under Rob Manfred. But the same group also owns a piece of the Dodgers, which is interesting. But even more interesting is that they own a piece of the Boston Red Sox. I guess even more interesting than that is a part owner of this Arctos Sports Group is one Theo Epstein. You may have heard of him. So in a convoluted way, he's a part owner of the Cubs and the Red Sox. He's also has a equity partnership with the Red Sox. He's a part owner directly of the Red Sox outside of this investment group. So, and he's been back with the Red Sox organization for at least the last year, and he's been playing an advisory role in addition to his partial ownership role to Craig Breslow, the current Red Sox general manager. And Breslow is actually part of formerly the Cubs front office under Theo and company. So that's where that relationship has extended to. And Breslow gave Theo a lot of credit for helping him figure out how to negotiate this Bregman deal. So Theo Epstein is like left the Cubs, gone back to the Red Sox, and helped pull off this coup. So there's just a layer of irony to that Theo is orchestrating partial demise for his old friend Jed Hoyer. The other part of this investment group that is troubling and might explain some of the things I've been questioning about Ricketts and his behavior and his why he's talking about money is if you think about it, he's the owner, but he still has to answer to his investors who are only interested in profits. They're not interested in winning and losing. They're not interested in deficit spending. They're interested in profits, and he has to answer to them. And considering how much he had to leverage his own wealth to rebuild Wrigleyville and buy the Cubs originally, I think he might be in a tenuous position, which might be explaining why he's kind of trying to deflect from the money conversation and why they don't spend the way they should be able to spend. If you look at everything on paper, if you think about it, he's kind of playing the role of Roger Goodell that we've seen over the years, where he just plays the meat shield for the owners of NFL teams and just kind of takes all the slings and arrows. And it almost feels like Ricketts has found himself in that position. And it's not just, and I brought this up last week, it's not just crackpot bloggers and amateur podcasters like me that keep bringing this up. There are legit journalists going after Ricketts and the Cubs business model. And last week I was talking about Ken Rosenthal from The Athletic wrote a scathing article. He doubled down and wrote another article this past week. He actually quoted Theo Epstein back when he took over. If not now, when? Talking about the Cubs going for it and eventually winning the 2016 World Series. Ken Rosenthal is applying that quote to Ricketts and saying, if not now, when? The answer from Ricketts is never, apparently. They're never going to completely go for it and go into deficit spending if they have to, not blow the market out of the water like the Red Sox just did for a player that would solve many issues on their roster. So it's a troubling scenario when you kind of peel the layers back and see what's really going on with the Cubs business. It makes me feel a little better. At least I might be understanding why they're not spending. It doesn't help anything, but at least I kept saying, like, Ricketts is not an idiot. So I don't understand why he keeps talking to the media, especially about money and talking about fans buying a bullshit narrative when you've got among the highest ticket prices, and yet you are not among the highest spenders. I saw another stat. The Tampa Rays actually spent more money this offseason than the Cubs did. So that puts things into perspective, I think. So there's more afoot here. Doesn't solve any problems, but I guess it at least sheds a light on what's really happening behind the scenes with the Cubs and explains how they're going to be in this position going forward. A lot of what other respected journalists like Buster Olney have kind of chimed in on the same thing. They're all kind of pointing to after the 2026 season is kind of what's exacerbating the situation, especially for the Cubs. But that's where the impending labor strife is going to affect baseball in a horrible way. And a lot of these teams and with investment groups see that looming danger and don't want to extend long contracts because they don't know what the financial landscape of baseball is going to look like. If there's going to be a salary cap, very doubtful. But if there's a salary floor, the Cubs, if you look at their payroll, they have 2 players that are have guaranteed deals after 2026. One is Shota Imanaga, who's I think it's just a player option for 2027, and then Dansby Swanson goes well past that. So they are positioning themselves for a lockout essentially. So I think that's really bad news for Cubs fans for the next couple of years. We're just going to see more of this. Hopefully, they win more than 83 games with this model. I think we might see a few more wins, but going above 90 wins like your Pacoda projections is, I think, pushing it. And we'll see how that plays out. But there's even more fallout that I thought we should at least discuss. And I think you hadn't seen this, but we talked a little bit before the show, but with the Red Sox themselves, it's like I don't think they either communicated this or realized this potential was there, that they could actually win this sweepstakes. It seems like they didn't prepare their star third baseman, Rafael Devers, for this potential, as they just signed another third baseman who's a much better fielding third baseman, at least. Devers is by far the better hitter, but that means there's a potential that Devers is going to have to move off of third, potentially just to the DH role. And on Monday at spring training, journalists were asking him about that, if he was open to moving to the DH, or what his reaction would be if the Red Sox asked him to. The the only thing that didn't need to be translated from his translator was the word no. He said it over and over again. What if they asked you to move to the DH side? He just said no. And then they kept asking him different versions of that question, and he looked at his interpreter like, why do they keep asking that? And then he just replied, I play third. He's in his mind, he's a third baseman. And it's like the Red Sox have not talked to him about this. It's very, very awkward, which I just thought was hilarious. Alex Cora, their manager, was asked about it, and they said, that he had been promised, Devers had been promised that he'd be the third baseman going forward when he signed his massive contract. And Alex Cora's response to that was, "That's a previous regime. We have a new general manager. That was Chaim Bloom that made that deal or made that promise, and now there's a new GM, so that's off the table, I guess." So there's some awkward things going on with the Red Sox. So that even though they got Bregman, there's some things they still need to clear out. So the final piece of the Alex Bregman fallout, at least, that I want to talk about this week is Vlad Guerrero Jr. is now potentially available as a trade target, as he and the Blue Jays did not come into a long-term contract agreement before spring training started, which was his artificial deadline. Apparently they were not close to meeting his demands. The rumors out there and the kind of doing the math that he was probably asking, or he was probably offered maybe $340 million over 10, 12 years, whatever it happens to be. And the speculation that he's asking for $500 million over a 10 or 12 year span. So whatever. I mean, hopefully he can get it. Feel great for him if he can. We'll see. But the idea that the Blue Jays could not come to that extension agreement with 1 year left on his current deal, that it's a big potential that he could be traded. So both Detroit Sports Talk Radio and Chicago Sports Talk Radio are going right to that idea that the Cubs or Tigers could trade for Vlad Guerrero. And I don't see it. I don't see how it fits for the Tigers at all, because Vlad was a third baseman, but he's played first for quite some time now. That doesn't really solve much for the Tigers. They need their biggest place of need is third base. There'd be speculation that they could trade Colt Keith, who is now moving over to first base. But
why would you do that?
Yeah, that's rather punitive for 1 year of Vlad. Vlad would be a huge upgrade. I like Colt Keith a lot, but he does not have the prodigious power of Vlad. But we've also got Colt Keith for 5-6 more years. So I think a deal from the Tigers for Vlad Jr. would be start with Max Clark and Jackson Jobe and then go from there. Our top two prospects. I could not stomach that. I don't think most Tigers fans could. A lot of, the call-ins on Sports Talk Radio is like, oh, just, give him Spencer Torkelson and Kenta Maeda and some other junk that we don't like, and they'll take it. It's like, okay, guys, it's just so unrealistic. Most of the trade speculation, they're going to start with our top two prospects and go from there. So
right.
Similar for the Cubs, I don't see a fit. I mean, especially after we just signed Justin Turner for 1 year, got Kyle Tucker for 1 year, trading, they traded some top prospects just to get Kyle Tucker. What's left? Matt Shaw, who's supposed to play third base for us starting on March 18th in Japan. So that doesn't solve any problems if Vlad can't play third. So that doesn't make any sense to me either. So again, the Cubs are in the biggest mess out of all of this Bregman fallout. So I feel like the Tigers dodged a bullet, but the Cubs are right square in the middle of a colossal mess.
Maybe the Cubs can trade Turner.
That'd be good. Yeah. So it's flipping Bellinger, then flipping Turner,
and then getting Vlad.
And getting Vlad.
Then it looks okay. It looks okay now. The Bellinger for Vlad trade. I mean
I wish you had brought this up before the show. We could have canceled this whole episode. That's the solution.
Yeah, we who's a couple other guys we don't want, you don't want. Throw them in there, just like the Tigers. Yeah. Sure, they want Kenton Maeda for Vlad Guerrero Jr. Sounds like
why not?
Torkelson,
he's got promise.
Yeah, it's a done deal.
So yeah, that's been what I've been obsessing over since we last joined you after episode 157.
Well, something Sox had a big signing, huge signing.
Yeah.
5 days or so ago, they signed Joey Gallo to a minor league contract.
Joey Gallo,
the long sought after left-handed power hitter that White Sox Twitter has wanted for years now. Probably kind of like, you kind of wanted him probably like 3 years ago, but, he's going to be on the opening day roster. He's a name. He's a reason why people might actually go to the ballpark.
Now he signed to a minor league deal, though.
Yeah.
I was surprised by that.
So I was
surprised he would agree to that. Actually,
I think he knows by signing a minor league deal with them, outside of like just a horrendous spring training, he's going to make the opening day roster. Then he's got that ability to prove himself, and the idea, obviously, the Sox are signing him with the idea that he does produce for a half a season to flip him. He's a good dude. I just it's just so funny. Like Joey Gallo's come up so many times as a left-handed power hitter for the White Sox when they were in their window and they never went out and got him when they should have. And now when he's sort of in the washed up portion of his career, I mean, it's questionable if he had regular at bats because he hit 10 home runs last year in 223 at bats. Home run every
20, like a third of a season.
Yeah, home run every 22 at bats. So I don't know. That's not those aren't terrible numbers actually. They're not. He's a full season like 25 home run guy maybe still. So
I think 25. See, I was gonna say 15.
Yeah,
but his OBP or OPS would be
220.
Yeah, it was batting it. Yeah, it could be his on base percentage. Yeah, so he's a clearly flawed player, but it's a fun name at least to add to your roster.
Yeah, it's a name we know, Smitty. It's a name we know to add to the roster, which brings us into our next segment. We're gonna play a little game that Smitty cooked up. Do you wanna tell it, or
I just made it up? You were talking about doing a segment about the faceless, nameless roster that's on the White Sox right now. It's hard to name any players. I was thinking we could make a game out of it, like a game show. Maybe I'll add some sound effects in here in post production. But I just came up with a random idea. You read off a list of Sox players, or from a list of Chicago Aldermen, and we call this Sox player or Chicago Alderman. And then I don't know much about Chicago politics or local politics anymore. So I certainly don't know much about the White Sox roster. I don't know how many do, but I don't follow it as close as you do probably, but I think I'm a little educated, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Since we're hashing this out, should I read 2 names or should I read
just read one name from
as Sox or Alderman, right?
Yeah, and then I'll guess and I'll give myself the buzzer or the ding ding ding.
All right, cool. And just the funny note on this, my idea came. I was listening to Mully and Haw the other morning, and they asked Mully was like, "Hey, Bruce, do you just walk around with a media guide in your pocket right now?"
I heard that,
and he kind of said he did, but he said he has it with him because it's true. When he's on the field, he does not recognize a lot of the players.
Oh my God.
But reporters have the benefit of doing a lot of interviews at lockers. So it's a lot easier. But he's like, yeah, you have to keep your media guide with you these days to be able to track players down. So that's how this idea all started, thanks to that fun little show in the morning that makes me giggle. All right. You ready to get going?
Yeah, should we limit this to maybe 10?
Yeah, we'll do 10.
Or when we get sick of it, we'll just stop.
Yeah, we'll go 7-10. We'll see how it goes. All right.
Okay, cool.
All right. It's time now for White Sox player or Chicago Alderman, brought to you by Major League A-holes. All right, we're going to start off. Is this a White Sox player or a Chicago Alderman? Dan LaSpada.
Dan LaSpada. I'm going to say Alderman.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah!
You are off and running.
I do not know how I got that. I think the 50-50 coin flip is going to be my biggest advantage here, but
you're just going to go with go with like my best guess. Jordan Leisure.
Jordan Leisure, I know, is a Chicago White Sox.
All right. Ding, 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 ding.
Pitcher, is he a reliever or a starter?
Reliever.
Okay.
All right.
100% so far. I'm killing this.
You are. You know you're a huge Sox fan.
Man.
Penn Morphy. Penn Morphy.
What's the first name?
Penn. Penn.
Penn
Morphy.
Morphy. I'm going to say Alderman.
Boo! He is a reliever for the White Sox.
Oh, I had no idea. All
Born
right.
May 2nd, 1994, 195 pounds, 6'2".
Did you know who he was?
No, I did not.
That is the question. Okay.
That's the best part about this list. I'm learning this team.
All right.
Wickelman Gonzalez.
Oh, that's got to be a White Sox.
That is a White Sox.
Yeah, Winkleman. I think I remember that name coming up at some point.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. Like, it sounded somewhat familiar, but I'm like, that could be like the fucking 6th ward here.
Anyway, I mean, Winkleman is, if you've ever seen that name, you'll remember it somehow. So the only way I would associate that would be with the White Sox. So,
all right. Brian Hopkins.
God, that could easily be either. I'm gonna go Alderman.
Wow, you are on a roll.
Yeah.
You may be not only a huge White Sox fan, but have the most knowledge of Chicago Aldermen of anyone I've ever met.
I was very into, I knew a lot about Chicago Aldermen when I lived in the 46th Ward, and was a huge opponent of, I think it's the 44th Ward, where Tom Tunney reigned.
Yes.
His reign of terror over the Cubs for years. I think he's subsequently retired, but I knew a couple aldermen back in the day, but I've been moved out of Chicago for 4 years now.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Desmond Yancey.
I'm going to say Chicago White Sox.
Boo. Oh, no, he is an alderman his first year in the 5th Ward.
Okay. All right.
All right.
I was gonna say second base prospect, but
Peter Chico.
I'm gonna say Chicago Alderman.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Correct.
All right.
Should we do one more?
I think one more, and we'll be good.
One more for close down. Gus Varland.
That's got to be an alderman. It's probably a 65-year-old crusty alderman.
It is not. Boo! It is a, let's see, 96. How old is that? He's a 6'1",
less than 30.
Yeah, 213-pound pitcher.
Oh my God! What's Gus? What?
Gus Varland. I know it sounds so much like an alderman.
I could see him chomping chomping a cigar in a back room
with suspenders
taking kickbacks from taking kickbacks from some local businessman.
I tell you what, if Reinsdorf wants that goddamn park built, he's going to have to cough up some of his own fucking money.
That is a quintessential corrupt Chicago alderman name. I can't believe it. This worked out great. It's good we stopped here. We might have to do this every week.
Actually, yes.
Keep doing this.
I think we might have to
just have to remember which one you actually read off. Cross those names off your list, and we'll start again next week.
I don't know. With our memories, I may be able just to start over.
Yeah.
You're just not allowed. You're not allowed to listen to this segment pre-show.
I'll just think I never had this idea before and post it to you again. Do you want to do this idea? Having forgotten we even played this game.
It's interesting though, because you got to stay within the pitchers really for the most part.
Okay.
Because outfielders are all names everyone knows.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's
Don't tell me.
There's a couple infielders, but
I think I'll be able to avoid the Sox roster for the next week at least. I think I can just stay away from those websites. Successfully sequester myself from Sox news.
Yeah. I tried to sequester myself from Sox news too, and I'm a fan.
Never a bad idea.
Speaking of White Sox, I got this text from Smitty the other day saying, "What a deal!" And it was White Sox. You get 27 tickets for $125. That's 27 games. Was it $4.23 a game essentially?
Yeah. I got, for some reason, I still get emails, like just promo emails from the White Sox. I like to see what's going on and maybe make fun of whatever statue might be going up this week. But yeah, they sent me an offer I couldn't refuse. 27 games for only $125. And I've never seen anything remotely like that. I don't know if they've done this before, or if you've seen a similar deal. You kind of poked holes immediately on how good this deal is, though.
Yeah, they're going to want you to come to the ballpark during the 3 coldest months of the year. Yeah. That's right. You get all the March, which is a couple games.
Yep.
All of the April and all of the May games. And maybe towards the end of May, end of May, you're finally getting some relief where it's safe to go to the ballpark. But I will never forget my trip to the ballpark over kids' spring break last year that was snowed out. I was not allowed to eat, and they waited to cancel it until everyone got to the fucking ballpark while it was snowing. So
yeah, I forgot about that.
Fuck you, White Sox, and your
that's brutal.
27 tickets for $125. Now, I did agree. Smitty countered. I said, no, thank you. He countered if they paid me $125 when I go, and I said, yes.
Now, you must go to all 27 games to get that $125.
I was thinking about how that would probably be if they picked the right fans, a lucrative offer for the White Sox, because I probably over a 3-game span would invest more than $125 into concessions.
That's why I think this might actually be plausible. Like next year, we might see the reverse of this deal.
Yes.
So keep your eyes open. Wait, I think you can hold out this year. Hold out for a little bit better deal, and maybe they'll reverse that for you.
Like if they said $125 and we'll give you a $125 voucher for food.
I think that's what it would be if this was going to actually be plausible.
It's like going for
we'll
free.
We'll give you a $125 voucher that you can use, but you have to go to 27 games. So you would spend more than that on beer over 27 games. So I think that might be where they have to go with this. I'm fascinated to see how this deal, if anyone's talking about it, or if you probably don't know many fans that are going to games, but amongst your White Sox friends, see if anyone is actually taking the Sox up on this offer. But if not, would they do this reverse offer that we came up with?
I mean, yeah, I mean the reverse offer, I'm in. I am in.
You'd waste most of that budget at $125 just buying one of those milkshakes, would you? Aren't they like $30 or something?
I still have yet to have a campfire milkshake.
Oh boy!
But you figure, I'm just gonna do the quick math here. I'm gonna say Robin and I are at the ballpark, right? This is without the kids, so that's a big $125 voucher is gone in one game with the kids, and I'm still investing another probably 50 or so. Easy. And that's, I'm not talking about buying them fucking souvenirs or anything like that. It's just fucking food. Yep. Food and drinks. But you figure if you each got 2 like Polishes, you're at fucking $32 right there.
Yeah.
And then 4 beers each on top of that.
Boy, the kids are heavy drinkers these days.
No, I'm not talking. Like I said, the kids are ruled out of this one. That's about $50 in beer each. Mm-hmm. You're at 100. You've already spent it in one fucking game that you last, and it's warm enough that you want to drink 4 beers.
So I think we just figured out that the White Sox would be stupid not to offer our deal.
Yes,
I mean, they'd have fans in the park. They'd have drunk people. They'd have
a perfect fucking storm.
Yeah, I think this is too smart. I think we should somehow contact the White Sox? Brooks Boyer, is that his name? The
Yeah,
promotions manager, senior vice president.
maybe this is my way into a White
Yeah,
Sox
I
job
think we need to
finally.
pitch that idea. I think they'd love that.
Yeah, not only for $125 do you get 27 games, but you get a $125 voucher.
At that, I mean, that's an offer a Sox fan can't refuse.
I almost can't. I almost can.
Unfortunately, they're not offering that today. They're offering the opposite, which is almost equally absurd. So
at least give you a blanket with this fucking offer, for fuck's sake.
Can we please have a blanket?
Do I get a parka with this deal? Because then I'm going. All right. Well,
that was fun. That was a fun White Sox segment.
Yeah.
We gotta have fun somehow with these fucking Sox. So.
Well, I know what I'm being dealt with now. I know the situation. It's a lot easier, honestly, to stomach at this point. There's a little with Will Venable being there, that the little trajectory upward. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. But
can't be worse than Pedro.
Or
God.
Tony.
Or Ricky.
Tony was. I'll give them all credit though. They all made doing this podcast a lot fucking easier. I'll tell you that. Oh my God.
So much content.
All right. Well, it's a rarity where I get to announce this, but I think what's up next is aesthetics.
It's unbelievable. When you sent me the text, like when you had the idea, you said it yesterday. We got to do a podcast tomorrow. I've got a bunch of ideas, including an aesthetics segment. So
folks, I just want to point something out. I never phrase it as aesthetics. I said there's a funny San Francisco Giants cap story. Now I know what's going to happen next. I know when Smitty sends me an outline for what he thinks the show should look like, it's going to say aesthetics on it. So
in all caps. Always.
It is all caps.
Because it's obnoxious.
So there's a couple of new era faux pas that have occurred over the last couple weeks. On February 3rd, at the store online, the San Francisco Giants released their spring training caps. And there's a trucker cap on there. Unfortunately, the patch on the side wasn't for Arizona. It was for Florida baseball.
Grapefruit League instead of the Cactus League.
That's right.
That's fucking hilarious.
Grapefruit League patch on it. It's since been fixed and whatever. It's been corrected, but I think those hats are going to be slightly delayed because...
Or is that a collector's item now? Can you get your hands on one of those?
Maybe. It could be, it could be the... Don't you remember the year the Giants played in the Grapefruit League?
That's pretty bad. You wonder how that gets through quality control.
Yeah. Speaking of getting through quality control, I find this one to be, I don't know. I was unaware of this situation, but just yesterday, the St. Patrick's Day spring training caps were released because, of course, St. Patrick's Day takes place every year in the middle of spring training.
Coming up.
And not everyone has a halfway to St. Patrick's Day party like the White Sox have. So they have released the spring training St. Patrick's Day cap, and there is a 4-leaf clover on it. Now, apparently, this is news to me. The 4-leaf clover is not representative of St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
The actual St. Patrick's clover only has 3 leaves on it. So
a shamrock is 3, but a 4-leaf clover is, I mean, that's the lucky thing.
Yes.
So I guess I could see how someone could make that error, but that's pretty bad when you don't. I mean, if you're going to all this trouble to manufacture an actual hat that you haven't done the research to know what the fuck you're putting on there. That's pretty good.
While you'll get a lucky hat, you won't have a shamrock.
So did they rescind those? Are they replacing them, or how is that happening?
I do not see any rescinding occurring because I think they're done.
Okay.
Ready to ship. I don't know.
We can get our hands on a 4-leaf clover hat.
I checked again this morning to see if there was any word from New Era regarding it, and there is not. So I think it's going to be, you get that cap and you wear it to the game and your team always wins because you got the lucky clover on it.
Wow, rough start to the season for New Era. I think they're getting their head over their skis a little bit over there.
Yeah, I think they're taking over for Nike this year with the uniforms. There has to be some sort of blunder,
Yeah, we did not talk about that. We talked about it last year, but they decided midway through the season last year they're going back to the original template and not the most ridiculous, cheap looking uniforms they had last year. So when you see your team out there, they'll be back to their original glory and a reasonable, professional looking uniform that we've grown accustomed to. Last year was just such an embarrassing debacle for. They look like giveaway jerseys with tiny nameplates in the back and
ridiculous.
it's like iron on logos instead of stitched in. It was just the players could not adjust their pants at all. They couldn't be perfectly tailored to their body as a lot of players want, especially pitchers. That was a difficult proposition. They've remedied all that. So that's actually the biggest aesthetic news for this year to kick off this year is that they're actually come to their senses and put together a decent looking uniform again for everybody.
I'm gonna miss the see-through pants though.
I forgot about the see-through pants. Oh,
those are such a nice touch.
Jesus Christ. Oh, and they were falling apart too. Like Riley Green slid into home base and almost lost his pants completely because they just shredded completely. So we don't have that to look forward to anymore. But oh well. So yeah, congratulations on your first aesthetic segment of the year, our second of the year. So we're going strong already.
Yeah, kicking a year off with a bang. We'll see if there's enough to get us back here next week, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think unless there's anything else I forgot or any shit Pete forgot, I think that wraps up this episode 158. We are available on the web at majorleagueaholes.com. You can find us on YouTube at Major League A-Holes. Check out our YouTube page. That has blown up immensely over the last year. We've got 300% more followers, however that works, our subscribers. So check out our YouTube page, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that stuff. You can find us on social media at Major League A-Holes. Pete is also on Twitter at Sox Type Thing. And you can find this podcast anywhere you'd like to find a podcast. So with that, I think we can declare this podcast is over. Peace. Peace.
Word Hole Media.